All right. Hello and welcome everybody back again, not to the Rochester Parkour Gym. We are still having construction done, which was supposed to take a week, and they are now approaching 2.5 weeks, and that's okay. We've got more fun stuff to talk about today. We've got more cool opportunities to do fun things, and today I kind of wanted to do a sort of collaboration, and I wanted to get y'all's input and sort of as a hive mind come up with a game mode. And there's going to be other things that will help us prompt a specific game mode being made or anything else like that. But I also have other fun stuff that I'm going to be bringing in for today. Again, we are not at the Rochester Parkour Gym. Instead, we are in my tea room. We call it the tea room because it's the north-facing sun room in the northeast. And like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's not a sun room, it's a tea room. Welcome to my wonderful, lovely abode. We also have some contributors in today's stream. We've got Jonathan and we've got Ian. So if you want to say hi, go for it.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, welcome. And as always, we are streaming through YouTube as well as Facebook, so feel free to chat and join in on whatever platform. Brian Hoffer, thank you so much for joining through Facebook, and then everybody else that is in through YouTube, thank you so much for being here, as always. Freedom Toy Reviews, welcome. Do you do toy reviews? Is that a very specific thing to ask? Good to have you, Manmaster Original. Welcome back. Horions, welcome back to the stream. Oh my goodness, you are writing a lot of stuff so far. What about a game mode? Oh man, you're getting okay. Real quick, I'm gonna get back to that. Ian. Oh, also, hello everyone. You're amazing. Please don't bankrupt yourself. we don't need that to happen. You need funds for all the fun 3D printing stuff that you're doing right now. Are you done with the Kraber yet?
I am not. I ran into some issues last weekend when I started printing it, so...
What issues?
Mostly printing issues.
Like with the printer itself?
Well, for a while I was being plagued with issues, yes, with the printer itself, and now I have a different profile that works. I'm just reacquainting myself with this profile.
Gotcha. Very cool. I'm excited for that to be out. I'm excited to see it back in the arena.
Soon, TM.
Oh yeah. Jonathan, how you been doing? You been keeping busy?
Yeah, I've mostly been working at home. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do any Nerf stuff or Yu-Gi-Oh! Which was the basis of my life before this pandemic. But, I've been keeping going on.
Yeah.
Been playing a lot of online tournament. I don't know if anyone on the stream knows what League of Legends is or how it works internally, but
how could they not know what League of Legends is?
Well, I do. You know what? I've met a couple people, and it's been weird every time. Anyways, they're doing in I want to say client. That's not the correct word, but it's like almost a localized tournament of sorts where you get tiered based on your current rank. Get sorted into brackets with 8 other teams, and then you go through the bracket and see where you end up in 3 games. So I've been doing a lot of that. I actually have a practice tonight, and then there's a 2-day tournament tomorrow. So tonight's kind of busy.
Always fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
Nate
thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on stream, though. That's fantastic. Nerf Builder asked Elda, so you're going to show Ian and Jonathan? No, not today. And the only reason why is because instead, I might not even be on stream for that long, at least as things go according to plan. Because what I'm planning on doing, in order to help us visualize whatever game mode ideas people are coming up with on stream. I'm going to be showing the SketchUp model that we have for the gym. We use the SketchUp model. It's all like true to form. All the dimensions are correct. It's a little weird right now because we started designing the new bar cages in the gym for when the hypothetical theoretical opening of the space again, whenever that is allowed to happen. So it is a little strange right now, but everything is easily movable, and we can, if you have if you have a game mode that's like, oh, the tube or the column really needs to be in this area in order to balance out the areas, then like it's easy for me to do that on through the SketchUp model, and then people can like show identifiable features and look at landmarks and make it a lot easier. So that's the goal for today, not necessarily a face or talking heads or anything else like that. So instead, you got our sweet voices. Fantastic. Real quick, just so we don't get into too much chit chat, I have a confession to make. And I technically, I think I have two confessions, because I was attempting to scroll through and figure out who sent me this thing. And I have their name, but I don't want to I don't want to say their name on stream, because it's obviously it's on the box. This wonderful, lovely nerfer found me on the Nerf subreddit 3 years ago. And the reason why that is important is because 3 years ago, I got married, and he sent this blaster right in the thick of wedding planning and the wedding and the honeymoon, and I forgot about it. And I feel like a jerk for doing that, because it's so nice of them to send me this. I also forget a little bit what it is, so we're going to open it and have some fun with that and figure out what is it? I don't really know. It is very large though. This is a pretty big, beefy box. And we're gonna figure out. I do know that it is an odd vintage blaster, and we're going to open that up right quick and figure out what it is. And then the whole point of him sending me this was that he wanted me to make a game mode with it. And that never happened. So, without further ado, let's open this sucker up and see what's in the box. Or if y'all wanna throw out some ideas real quick, if you want to throw out some guesses on stream, this is how big it is. Okay, so what do you think it is? It is a vintage blaster. I do know that it is not one of it definitely was made more than a decade ago. It's probably, this box is probably about, would you say this is 3 feet? 4 feet? Maybe 4 feet.
3.5.
Yeah. So what are your guesses? What do you think this is? What blaster? Because it's not like a big bad bow. I know that it's not a big bad bow. Those are much shorter. This is a Nerf gun toy review. This is not a review. I'm not encroaching on your territory. This is just something. Oh, this looks so funny. Oh man. Okay, so I'll give you a giant wand of hammer, a melee weapon. Okay, alright. Let's see. I will give you some hints because I can see it a little bit right now. It's purple and green. Does that help? Ian, you got an idea?
No idea.
No? Purple and green? Jonathan, how up are you on vintage Nerf stuff?
Absolutely not.
Let's see, we got crossbow, we've got Lightning of 14 saying it's an ultimator, we've got, oh, Buff Daddy Nerf says it's a jolt. Yes, this is the snipiest of all sniper jolts. It's a jolt with a 4-foot barrel, that's what it is. Let's see.
Honestly, I would not even be disappointed.
Oh, we've got.
Is it a water gun of some kind?
It is not a water gun. Is that Liam?
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome.
Is it a blowgun?
It is not a blowgun. Okay, we got two votes for the Ultimator, but he's also, Scott JS is also saying a Super Soaker Cannon. Lightning 14 is also saying Hydra Cannon. Those of you that have guessed the Ultimator, you are correct. Look at this thing. This is insane. What is this? I've never seen this in my life. This is amazing. So,
You're a little off center from the camera.
am I off center?
Yeah.
Bam. An Ultimator. Wow. So, I don't even understand how this operates. I've never actually seen. This must be an air blaster, right? Do you pump it?
Good question.
How does this function? I don't even know what that did. Whoa. Did you feel air? My wife is sitting over here.
This thing sounds so janky.
It sounds so weird. Alright, so there's nothing else in the box, right? If it didn't come with what I assume would be a missile, right? It would have to be a missile. Oh, it does have a missile! Haha! Yeah. This is amazing. One.
Oh my god.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I can do it multiple times. Oh, nothing happened. Okay, maybe I have to pump it more. That sounds
you
so
gotta pump it a
cheeky.
whole lot. Apparently, that's what Chad's saying.
This is the weirdest way. Okay, so now it stopped. So. Oh, shit. That was amazing. Oh yeah? Okay, alright. My wife wants to shoot me. She's gotta get payback. Okay. Here you go. Eye protection. Oh.
Whoa! It's got recoil!
Ooh.
That's amazing. That's so fun. Okay. With that said, we have an Ultimator. I apologize. I attempted to go through the 3 years of private messages that I've had on my Reddit account to figure out who sent it to me. I'm going to figure out who it is. I just have to sift through these messages. I will put their name in the description. I will thank you. I will also reach out to you again on Reddit and apologize profusely for how long it took me to finally open this up, and thank you on stream for it. With that said, the whole point of this was to make a game mode with it. So, should we do? Yeah. Okay. Go.
So the immediate thought I had when I saw that thing, right, is a game mode where the end game has to be someone shooting something with that thing, some final objective that you have to get to, right? But the way I'm thinking about it is that the person carrying the Ultimator can only carry the Ultimator. If they pick it up, they cannot carry another gun. They've got one shot and one shot only to do the job.
So now, do they need to hit? Would you say that they have to hit a person, like tag an individual, or do they need to shoot down an objective like a tower, and it can only be shot down with the Ultimator?
A massive cup
I'd have to be a tower, right? A person's gonna be ridiculously hard to hit with this stuff.
A person would be really challenging. Yeah.
Just like a 6 foot tall cup
Hi,
tower.
Tom.
Where's Tom? Yo, Tom, what's up? Thomas saying first thought is using it at the end of push. That would be interesting to change. Yeah, to change the dynamic of push so that it's if in that way the tower could be okay. So we've been having some issues recently with our push game mode because it used to be that the weapons cache, which is the last objective in push, was the cave. No, it wasn't. It was the tube. And the tube was centrally located in the last iteration of the gym. In the new iteration of the gym, the cave is pretty asymmetrical in where it is, and it is very easy to bunker for the defense to get in there and not let anybody in. And that's been the prime problem with push. If we were to make something where it's like, hey, the last objective is you need to knock this tower over with the ultimator, that would be intriguing because then the tower can be anywhere because theoretically the ultimator is so hard to operate. It's already a challenge to like finish the objective. So that'd be interesting. Why not? Oh, Lightning of 14 is saying shoot it into a box or through a goal. Oh man, like you could try to get a bullseye or like shoot the missile through like the tire or something like that. That would be intriguing. That would work. I kind of dig that. Oh man. Okay, I like the idea of using this for push, but I also like the idea of doing, okay, like if you, okay, so if we were to have, I'm gonna bring up how accurate are they? God, not accurate at all. Not gonna lie, it sounds so janky. It's so janky.
Oh, wait a second. You could almost make it another Star Wars themed game mode if you do the shooting through the target. Because if you're thinking about when Luke had to shoot the missiles to destroy the Death Star.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Or like some kind of tank busting thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So we had, if there were, so this would allow us, if we were to start incorporating like shield breakers or anything else like that, this would be a really easy way of marking off when somebody gets hit or anything else like that. But I was thinking, like, what if it was like a one-time use object? If like the ultimator were, let's say, okay, I'm gonna switch the scene over real quick. Where did I do it? I think I did it here. Okay, there we go. So this is the gym, and again, it's a little weird right now because we were attempting to design a new bar cage and are not done designing the new bar cage or setting things up at all. And then also Liam, Jonathan, and Ian, let me know if you, like, do you see this right now live through Discord?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So let's say if Tofu, which is typically like somewhere here, centrally located, right? If the ultimator were on Tofu, and the whole point is, like, let's say it's tower defense, but both sides have a tower, and we could even add a like a King of the Hill style element to this, where we have the timer on it. You need to hold the timer in order to get the ultimator. Once you have the ultimator, your team is allowed to grab it, and then is allowed to use it to knock over a tower wherever it happens to be. That's kind of what I'm going for with that.
So the ultimator would be a capturable objective that you would then need to use to get another objective done.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'm going through chat real quick, just seeing. Where are you reading other chat messages? I'm only reading chat messages that come in through YouTube as well as Facebook. So feel free to let me know what ideas you have when you're going through. We don't need to only talk about game modes that are using this Ultimator. If you have ideas as to what specifically we can do with the Ultimator, by all means, throw them in chat. Go for it, and we will discuss it as we want to. However, if you have a great idea for a game mode that you want to see in the arena, you can just throw those out in chat whenever you want. If there's an idea that you've been having that you want to like see us talk through and also visualize it on stream with our SketchUp model, go for it. Let us know. That would be awesome. But yeah, if the Ultimator were a capturable objective, then it sort of plays itself out very similar. It's like it's a hybrid game mode between King of the Hill and Tower Defense, whereas Rogue One is a hybrid between Capture the Flag and King of the Hill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's kind of what I would be going for if we were to make a game mode specifically and only tailored and designed around the Ultimator. That would be what I would be looking at doing. The joy that I have with Rogue One is just how perfect it is by melding the joy that comes from Capture the Flag and King the Hill at the same time. That's the cool bit. And I think it'd be interesting to do that with the Ultimator.
I've got an idea.
Yeah, go for it.
A free-for-all game where the Ultimator starts either on the top of the cave or on Tofu. Everybody is only allowed to use. I don't know if this would be balanced at all, but everybody starts with only socks, and they're trying. It's a free-for-all game, and they're trying to be the last person standing. And the way you eliminate people is by hitting them with the Ultimator. But if you get hit by socks, you have to drop the Ultimator and go and respawn.
So Battle Royale Juggernaut-esque.
Okay.
Basically.
Interesting. And so if you are the person with the Ultimator, you can be tagged out with a sock, and you would have to drop the Ultimator, go respawn, and then go back in. Man, I feel like that would take forever.
Yeah, I think so.
That'd be pretty hard to just get the Ultimator without somebody just instantly bombing you with a sock.
I feel like I'm so against elimination game mode. Somebody was talking about Nerf Builder. I know you don't like elimination, neither do I, but I was wondering if there were a way to minimize the annoyance of having to sit around once you are eliminated. Yeah, so the only issue that I have with elimination games is that it doesn't strike me as something that is okay, so part of me understands the whole, like, when you give value to being alive in game, then it increases the enjoyment factor of it. And when like you don't want to get out, it's like the whole, you only live once kind of thing. Like, yeah, sure, I get it. That's the fun and that adds stuff, but it also kind of takes away from it. Ooh. Yeah, go ahead.
I just came up with a thought. What about instead of it being elimination, instead you're basically building your team with it? like boom, you get tagged with this giant missile and now you're on my team.
Oh man, it's like conversion, but converting is infinitely harder.
Yes.
How interesting. I dig that. But okay, so with the Ultimator, if it were a conversion game mode, is the Ultimator a one-time use thing? And what happens to it? Like, does it have to go to the opposite team after you use it? And then what's to keep a team from not using it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if in conversion, the whole point is to get everybody on your side. And so if you are only making it so that one person at a time can convert, then that becomes a problem.
Maybe it's like, I'll hold this objective for X amount of time. You can steal an opposing player. Something along those lines.
Like, so it's a temporary steal?
Or a permanent steal. It's whatever team can hold the objective.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so if it's...
But
Actually-
it has a one-time use and the objective resets.
Interesting. Okay, so let's say, also, Horions is saying that this is his idea. I missed it. I'm sorry, but obviously great minds think alike, so cheers. Okay, so if we make it, I think the issue that I have with conversion, I'm not gonna like putz around it. I don't like conversion. I will play it, obviously. We have in the past, and I don't know why Ben likes it. Do you guys like conversion? Is that a fun game mode for you?
I liked it back when we had the last man standing rule. The last man standing rule was fun.
Do we not still do that?
No, if you're the last man standing, you just run it. If you get hit once, you lose. I remember there was a period of time where it was either like 2 or 3 hits, or you had vulnerability for like 10 seconds, and that was hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
It
remember
always sucks to be that last person.
I remember the mechanic you're talking about now. Yeah, I don't know why Ben took that away. Maybe it was too hard to control.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I dig that. But as
I personally like the conversion games.
what do you like about it?
I like that it's so chaotic, because you're on a team and then you're off a team, and it's so I don't know, something about like how fast paced and like dynamic it is. There's no like real organization, so it's basically just like fighting as hard as you can in rapidly changing environments. But I don't know.
Gotcha. So I like the idea. I like the concept of conversion. I think whenever we
I like the idea. I like the
well,
concept.
we got some feedback.
Version.
Who are you? Who's doing that? Okay. So with that, we've got what was I? Oh no, my train of thought is gone. Okay, so I like the concept of the dynamic nature of the game mode and being able to like transition back and forth. Horions, I'm gonna mute you in a moment. Do push to talk or something. Okay, so I like that it's dynamic. I like that you're able to go back and forth, and it's a really fast action game mode. I feel like if we had more space, that it would be more fun, but we don't, and we're not going to get more space for a while, so that is what it is. But if we were to do something, and some people are throwing out ideas of, instead of elimination, if you make it conversion, yes, I dig that. And the converting is a lot harder to do. A la, you do something with the Ultimator, and like, you use this and that's the only way that you are able to convert people to your team, that makes it more interesting. It also makes what typically with conversion game modes, I feel like they only last like 3 minutes. And then most of that is like 2 people attempting to stay alive for as long as possible and then just getting obliterated. But if we were to, some people are throwing out ideas saying that if instead of getting tagged out in conversion, if you get frozen for a set period of time, that would make it easier for somebody to tag you out with an ultimator. Yes, I dig that idea. I think that that would be interesting, and it would make it longer, and just, yeah, I think that that would be kind of cool. But what would happen with the ultimator after you use it? That's the only problem.
I think in that situation, it would, like, ideally, you'd have to have 2, or some kind of like parallel device on the other team, I think. But I like how that idea evolved.
So, what if instead of just making it revolving around the ultimator, since we only have 1, what if it is specifically a missiles game mode? Because I have from so I've got the what's it called? The Tri-Strike. The Tri-Strike came with that unique stock, the pump stock, and it's got the missile launcher that's on the top. You pop it into your shoulder and it shoots out. It is insanely hard to use. The missiles are so bad. But if we make it so that anybody that has a missile blaster and wants to bring it in, the only problem is that is relying on, like, it would be hard to implement. We would have to let people know like a week ahead of time and say, this is what we're planning on doing. Would you, like, are you planning on coming next week, and can you bring a missile launcher? Because we would have to have the same amount of missile launchers on both sides in order for the game mode like that to work, right? If you've got ideas as to how to balance that out, by all means go. I'm gonna go through chat real quick.
How I was thinking was with the original scenario that I proposed, it would just be a neutral objective, just out in the open, no cover whatsoever. That was what I was going for when I was making my suggestion with it.
Yeah, and so I also think
but then they would have to the objective would have to reset. It would be like a side objective, and it would have to reset. You'd have to clear the area once you took the objective, basically, and use the ultimator.
Does anybody know what Nerf Builder's talking about? He's bringing up a game mode called Titan Ball. I don't know what Titan Ball is.
Yeah, everybody has Titan rocket launchers, and that's the game, I think.
Everybody has Titan Ball? So, okay. Interesting. So, let's deviate back away from that thought process, because it relies on the variable of getting enough people to bring in their own missile blasters, and that we don't know. We don't know how many people have them to begin with. We don't know how many people will show up with them ready for the game mode. And then it's like, if you don't have one, then you get left out. Like, you're not... I mean, you can still be an asset to your team by freezing opposite players. Like, you're still a part of the game mode. But it's like, when you're being left out of the game mode, or certain game mechanics are stripped from you specifically because you don't have a blaster, like, that's some weird classist stuff that we don't need to bring into Nerf as a hobby. We don't need that. So if we go back to making it that there's only one ultimator, it's a one-time use thing before it gets put back to normal. What if using the ultimator was a sacrifice? And if you are planning on using the rocket, you are sacrificing your life for that moment. You use it, and it's like, it's so powerful that you lose your life, You specifically have to reset it back in its objective zone, and then you have to go respawn. If you miss, you still have to go back to respawn. Does that sound cool?
You leave the
sounds
ultimate
doable.
on the ground.
I mean, it guarantees that the objective would get reset then.
I also like the idea that there is only a few of these missiles. Because
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Go for it.
Yeah, not having like, this thing has infinite uses, put like a limit on number of uses, how often it can be used. Like they have like, as what I said earlier was like, let's say you have to hold a timer for like 30 seconds to basically get this side objective.
Well,
Or
yes.
That's what I'm proposing.
What I was envisioning, as you were talking, I had this idea go through. These, because they are what they are, and because you have to, in order to use the objective, you need this, right? So these become their own objectives in the sense of you've acquired this blaster, you loaded the blaster, you fired the blaster. If you hit somebody, great. If you missed, you're gone. Like, you're not a part of the game anymore. You have to go respawn. You can't go get this. This becomes an objective. It becomes a capturable objective, and it becomes something that you've given to the opposite team, where, like, you fired this in their direction. If you missed, your team now has a much harder time getting this thing back. So if you make it where, like, you need to have a missile in your possession in order to grab the ultimator. That's interesting, right?
That does work.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That could work.
I'm just going through chat real quick. Titan Ball rules from Nerf Builder. Thank you. Rockets can only be picked up if you have a rocket launcher. You can only carry one rocket and launcher. Okay, interesting. No gathering of extra rockets. If shot, you must place all rockets and the launcher down. Okay, so the launcher is essentially a movable objective. It's not always in the same position. The issue that I have with that is that works in probably wide open fields where I assume somebody said this was Captain Xavier's game mode. I assume that's where most games in the Pacific Northwest are being done, out in, parks and whatnot. I've seen a lot of Berets gameplay footage. So that would work there. I don't think it would work for us in the arena, because if the rocket launcher gets put down, like, you would never spend time moving towards the middle of the field to use the ultimator, because then you might lose it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like for us, the ultimator should always go back to a central location. And I also like go ahead.
Like the right in front of the top of tunnel in the center.
Yeah. Something that's easy enough for both teams to get to, that isn't too far away, but you're still a little exposed in the process of grabbing it. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then obviously the missiles can go wherever. So if you have a missile in your hand and you're trying to make your way to the ultimator to get it, and you get tagged and frozen, then you have to drop the missile. Should we make it basically kill confirmed in that sense of, like, your teammate is frozen and they stay frozen until they are either tagged out by an enemy team or obviously converted? Yeah, go ahead.
I think that I think that might be a question that you could solve in playtesting, but I think I prefer if you just, like, straight up, if you get hit by the rocket fired by the ultimator, you switch teams. I think the waiting for hitting somebody who's already stunned, I think that's one extra step that needs to be there.
Gotcha. So you're saying anybody who's anybody can be hit by the ultimator, and if you are hit by the ultimator, that is already challenging enough, and you shouldn't have to be stunned in order to be converted. But obviously, if you do get, like, if you are stunned and you get hit by the ultimator, like, it just makes it easier for somebody to hit you and convert you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
What about when you need to protect the guy who is shooting with the ultimator if you're on his team? And when you shoot the guy with the ultimator, it goes to your team.
Ryan's, you cut out. Say that again.
So when you shoot the guy who is holding the ultimator goes to your team. So basically, everybody who's in a team with the guy who has the ultimator needs to protect him because he's the one who's giving more players in your team, and the team who has the most players in the game.
Interesting. Okay. So if actually that brings up a good point and a flaw in the game mechanics that we've created so far. If you have the ultimator and you're tagged by a random dart, you can't just freeze, because what if you're on the opposite side of the arena and now you can't, like, I don't think it's fair that you got tagged out and you can just hand the ultimator off to a different teammate. I don't know if I agree with that. So if you have the ultimator and you're tagged out, Horions is saying that it should immediately go to the opposite team. How would that be done? Is it something where, like, that person is dead, they have to go respawn, there is no like freezing rule for somebody with the ultimator, they would have to run and take it to the opposite end of the arena, give them the blaster, and then go back to their end of the arena and respawn? Is that kind of what you're going for?
I would say that the guy who shot the guy with the ultimator can run up there, being unharmed, come back and has the ultimator when so he basically does a respawn with the ultimator. So he runs to the other team, takes it, and then respawns with it.
Okay, interesting. I was almost like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. Like they're invincible for the moment that they're going and grabbing the ultimator. But no, that makes a lot of sense. So they're effectively out. Like both players in that one moment of conflict are now out of the game. The person that tagged the ultimator carrier is out. The person who was carrying the ultimator is out. They trade, and the person who has now acquired the ultimator has to go respawn. The person who had it also has to go respawn. That's interesting.
I like that.
I think I like that.
I think you would be having the fixed point on the top of the tunnel would be a good starting location for the ultimator, and then you would continue on with the trading the ultimator when you hit the ultimator carrier for the rest of the game.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm down. I dig that. I kind of like this so far. This might, okay, so the only thing that I want to talk about before I move on, because I've got a couple ideas, other ideas for game modes. But again, if you all out there have ideas for a fun game mode, throw them out here. And like this is like, let's make a game mode. Don't just give me a game mode that other people play. Let's make a new one. That's the joy. That's where I want to go with this. And if it can be tailored specifically to our arena, which I have up right here. I haven't been doing stuff with this right now, and I apologize for that. I kind of forgot about it. I was really in my brain there for a moment. I'm going to bring this back up and we can talk about stuff. Basically, what was discussed earlier is that we've got two ends of the arena. Typically, respawn zone for the back team is somewhere around here. Don't pay attention to this big blue thing. We don't have that up during Nerf nights. Typically, the respawn area is somewhere around this area for the back team. The front team is typically respawning somewhere near the end of the tunnel. I put the tube here just because it's not actually there right now, so don't get either excited or disappointed by the fact that this is visible there. It's not It's not there, and I'm
I was
not
like,
sure.
hold
if I'm
on a
gonna
second.
get- yeah. But Liam is saying that if the Ultimator were to start somewhere near the tunnel is a pretty, like, this area is pretty easily accessible for both teams, and so that's kind of where we're kind of saying that the Ultimator should probably go and get reset to, unless some other game mechanic happens. The only other thing that I want to discuss with conversion, I get, Jonathan, I get what you're saying with the last stand mechanic, and that I think that it's interesting, that last stand is interesting. It is a little chaotic, and it's a little strange. And I feel like conversion would be better, especially with a game mode that has like a new, harder mechanic in order to convert people. I don't think that the game mode should go all the way till the like last person. I think that that would take too long. But if there were some rule where it's like conversion is one, if we have 10v10, then like if there are 3 people left, then that's the end of the round. That's kind of what I'm going for. Does that seem fair, or no? Or is that too hard to police? Thoughts are appreciated.
Don't. The harder conversion is like, I don't know how I feel about that, because theoretically, even with say you got like a perfect game where you converted one person one after the other just as fast as you could do it, the problem becomes how honestly unwieldy that thing is. Because it took you how long to pump it up? And then you gotta aim, and then you gotta, it's just, I don't know how I feel about that. I had an idea popping around in my head for something. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, okay, so there were 2 game modes I wanted to maybe discuss.
Go for it.
One was maybe a modified version of Hot Potato with the Ultimator.
Okay. Explain.
So the idea is we'll start out with the Ultimator and the Rocket somewhere in the middle, easily accessible by both teams.
In the middle.
We'll play for the Ultimator, whichever team gets the Ultimator first and manages to successfully shoot the rocket into the other team's path, let's say, starts a timer of, say, like 2 minutes. If by the time 2 minutes roll around, the other team hasn't successfully retrieved the Ultimator from the middle, gotten the rocket, and shot it into the other team's base or half, they win.
Interesting. Okay. It's so we would mark off. We would basically cut the field in half.
Yeah.
And then the Ultimator would be in neutral territory, somewhere in the middle of the field. Okay, so in that sense, after the Ultimator gets used, it has to get returned back to the objective zone, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna make people have to push up and grab the Ultimator. That's too much.
Yeah. Okay, so, and then it's basically like... Okay, so you could also be like... There's a little bit of, what am I trying to say here? You could be sneaky about it. Like, if you hold on to the Ultimator, you got it, you have the missile and everything else, but you choose not to use it. Well, I guess that has its own issues. However, but let's leave that there. You could wait for the opportune moment where you tag out most of the players on like the left half of the arena over here. You tag enough people out that like they don't notice, or like the front team doesn't notice that the back team has it and fires it across. the back team starts the timer. Would the timer have to be also centrally located? Would both teams need to know that the timer exists and that it's like counting down?
Yeah, but like you could have, say, 2 people on either side keeping track. You don't have to have the centrally located timer, I guess.
You could tape the timer to the or attach it somehow.
Interesting. Oh, that's weird.
There's some kinks to work out, but it would be funny. I can just imagine the chaos and panic.
But I mean, like they have like it would be basically like a little kitchen timer, and those are relatively cheap. And you could just like you could basically tape it to the ultimator, and you fire the ultimator. You see that the missile crosses the half line. You start the timer, and you go return the ultimator back to the objective. Ooh, okay. I think we do pretty well with people being not jerks. Right. However, how quickly does the team that just achieved the objective of firing the missile to the other side, how quickly do they need to return the ultimator to the objective zone?
I think one way to prevent that from being an issue is saying the timer does not start until you put the ultimator back. And then the 2 or however long time starts.
Okay.
The rocket has to be across the line and the ultimator has to be back.
Okay, yeah, I dig that. So like you're starting the timer by putting the ultimator back at the objective, and the opposite team is trying to basically King of the Hill style get to the timer, which is the ultimator, and stop it in order to, reset essentially.
Right.
So then in that case, the missile crossing the half line is a trigger for the timer, but not a trigger for the what am I trying to say? If let's say the
rocket
yeah, go ahead.
The rocket crossing the line stops the timer. The ultimator being put back. Well, no. The rocket crossing the line stops the timer. The ultimator being put back starts it. If that makes sense.
Right. And then it doesn't need to be stopped by the opposite team grabbing the ultimator and getting it to the opposite side with the missile. They stop it by acquiring the ultimator. That's it. And then there's some weird like limbo time where neither team is working towards their objective. That timer has stopped, it's been reset, and it can't start again until let's say
we don't reset. Actually, hold on. Let's say we don't reset if the other team grabs it. Let's say if the team with the rocket in their section grabs the ultimator, the timer is paused. And only by firing the rocket over can it actually be reset. That way, the team without the rocket can potentially take back the ultimator, put it back, and then start the timer again from where it was paused.
Okay. Would each team need their own timer?
Yeah, that's the interesting part about this, but you could almost do that on the ultimator itself. It'd take maybe a little bit more than just the kitchen timer, but there's got to be some cheap timer where you can say like start, pause, and reset. There's no way there's...
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay.
And it prevents the don't be a jerk rule from being violated as well, because again, generally we're all really, really good about the honor rule, but it is possible if we said, hey, even if you get the ultimator, the timer's still running, it's possible someone just pauses it for a little while.
Yeah.
But this way there is there is no way to really cheat, because like if the it's very very obvious if the timer's been reset.
Yeah. Very cool.
Um,
Wait, I got a couple of comments that I want to get through real quick.
quick.
Hold up. Okay, so we got Nerf Builder was asking where Ben is. Ben, I believe, is busy. And yeah, so he is not a part. It would be great to have this discussion with Ben. I agree. We're gonna cultivate the ideas, and then we'll bring it to Ben and see what he wants to do with them, and if he has any ideas for how to change things around, if that so comes to it. And then we've got Pistachio Nerf saying, wait, why not just capture the flag with the Ultimator? Was that suggested? I was gone for a bit. We sort of suggested it. It's kind of essentially what it's coming down to, because we only have one Ultimator. It's essentially a capturable objective is what is happening right now. Most of these game modes that we're coming up with, or having ideas for these different game mechanics, are revolving around the idea of capturing the Ultimator in one way or another. So you're not wrong there. Then Semicolon says, going back to the conversion game, how about a countdown when carrying the Ultimator? If you don't get a tag before it runs out, you yourself convert to the opposite team. Whoa. Weird. The only challenge that I have with that is that I don't know how to easily and seamlessly have a timer, because we already have problems in our HVZ games where, like, as a zombie, you get tagged, you're stunned for 5 seconds, and every so often, like, people are not attempting or purposefully being jerks about it. It's just time goes faster when you've got adrenaline running through your veins, and it's like, was that really 5 seconds? And I've done edits before with where I've gone through HVZ game modes, and it's like, I don't know, like a random player definitely only counted to 3 seconds before tagging somebody, and then it's always kind of like, you gotta talk about it and figure out whether or not was it actually 5 seconds and whatever. We try to remove that out of any game mechanic that we create. That would be the only problem that I have with that suggestion, but I do like the suggestion. We would need to be elegant about how we implement it.
If you had like a circuit that used like an accelerometer or a gyroscope to detect the second that the objective has been moved.
And this is seamless and easy for you?
I was just saying that would be a lot more obviously a lot more foolproof in the sense that, oh, you can't just be like, oh, the timer started ticking the second that you moved the objective now. So then basically nobody can cheat their way out of saying, oh, I've only had it for this long.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's fine. Well, how about you finish the Kraber and then start on that? Why not?
Well, so a simpler, or I think simpler way of maybe having an onboard system would be maybe not accelerometers, but you could probably very easily rig up a switch. I'm just thinking about how the thingy functions. If you have a switch somewhere around the pump lever, that might be another way of starting a timer. And that can be used for other games and stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I like these ideas. I like it's getting thrown out. Cool. Yeah. Going just to get back on track with Jonathan's original idea. I like the limbo zone. I like the so let's do this. Actually, wait, this was the idea that I had. Just to make it simple, an easy way, something that we could literally do like the first day that we get back. I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying, like, this could easily be done. if we do it the way where, oh man, there was some game mode that I don't remember. Maybe you know or you remember what it is, Jonathan. There was some game mode that I remember that the timer started and neither team, or let's say this, oh man, what was it? There were 3 different bins that one team had to get objectives into and have the timer go. Either team could pause the timer, but in order for, let's say, the assaulting team to win, they needed the timer to end with all 3 objectives in the bin. The defending team needed to let the timer get to 0 with, no objectives in the bin. That was the idea, and obviously it was a 5-minute timer or something like that, and when it was over, it was over. That could kind of work here, where it's only one timer, and it's only one timer, and whichever team is able to get the missile on the opposite side by the time the timer goes off, then they win. Is that not fun?
Yeah. I remember. I think I remember that game mode. That could work. That could work a lot more smoothly, I think.
Hold on 1 second.
Hey guys, I would like to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you guys have an idea about a device that would be really cool to use in your games, just tag me in a message, let me know what you need, like to build, like with the accelerometer or whatever, Arduino or something, and I will make it and post some instructions or how I did it on your group.
Oh yeah? Sweet. I will hit you up. Make accelerometer everything. Let's accelerometer every Nerf blaster. That would be great.
One for each leg, one for each arm.
Oh man, that would be fantastic. Okay, we got a new idea for a game mode. Let's see. Do Lightning Eel 14. So here's a game mode I came up with a while ago. Turret activation team deathmatch. 2 teams standard. Standard 4 life, 15-second respawn. Respawn at team spawn point. Here's where it gets interesting. When you die, you become a turret. You sit down and cannot move. You cannot shoot or attack until you are given an activation key. Once activated, you shoot at the opposite team of the one who activated you. You can be activated by either team. Activation keys are placed at the center of the map at the start of the game. At the start, teams rush to get keys. Interesting. So that's kind of like, what was it, Jonathan? Did we call it Sentinel or something like that? Where
something like that.
And
yeah,
what were they? We had one person who was on top of the rock back when it was centrally located, and either team could tag the Sentinel or was it Sentry? Man, I don't remember what it was called, but they could tag that person, and then after 5 seconds they would start attacking the opposite team. That was interesting. It's basically kind of the same mechanic that you're talking about, like League of 14. That would be interesting. But there would be multiple turrets in that sense. When you say activation key, what do you mean by activation key? Like, one of our bandana balls, would that be considered an activation key, and you have to like give it to the person who's turreted in order to get them back on your team? We're not going to get an answer right away. It's going to be 15 seconds before he hears that. So, by all means, Liam, if you got something to say, go for it.
Well, it sounds like I not about the activation keys, but like to define the mechanics of the turrets. Like it would be interesting if they had like a stun timer, so like you could deactivate a turret by shooting it, and then it maybe had like a 15-second stun timer, and then the turret person would go back up, and then but while they're stunned, you could have a chance to give them a different activation key or your own. I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
like that.
I feel like what was the so okay, wait, hold on. I think I got away from this, or I read it really fast and I didn't process it. So he's saying 4 life, 15-second respawn. So you become a turret after you become a turret after 15. No, you become a turret on your 5th death, essentially. Where do you go when you're a turret? Do you die wherever you were? I guess you would die and become a turret. What's the point? Like, what's the overall objective of the game? Is it to eliminate the opposite team, or what? I think that's where I'm getting a little confused there. But yeah,
I think it's to eliminate the opposite team while still allow the players that are out to participate.
Oh, Nerf Builder, welcome. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Man, I hate elimination games though. I mean, I get that. Like they're still active. Like they're still playing. They're still a turret. They're in the game mode. Man, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of elimination game modes. So yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Okay, instead of okay, don't think about it like it's an elimination game mode. Think about it like it's a conversion game mode.
But I don't like conversion game modes either.
Think of it as kill confirmed.
Okay, so, well, So with kill confirmed, we changed the rules of kill confirmed as well to make it team deathmatch style kill confirmed, where you don't eliminate the opposite team. When you get confirmed as a kill, you go back and in order to respawn, you pull a respawn orb. When there are no more respawn orbs in the bin, then your entire team loses, and that is the winnable objective there. So how would that be possible with the turret game mode? How would that work? Like, under what circumstances can a turret be deactivated and put back on your team? And if that happens, would that be something where, like, you need to be pulling a respawn or something? Or, okay, so if we treated it like kill confirmed, okay, wait. Okay, so if let's say we've got red team versus blue team. Red team tags blue team or stuns them with a dart. They're frozen, right? Just like regular kill confirmed. But what if, because they were tagged out by the opposite team, they become a turret for the opposite team until they are, I don't know, tagged out by their own team and then confirmed back. So, like, it adds an extra level of complexity where your teammate is not just sitting there with their arm up in the air. They are literally trying to tag out their own team members until a moment where they are either, I don't know, confirmed by the opposite team, or they are brought back by the by their teammates.
I've got a name for this game mode.
What is it?
Traitors.
Traitors. Yeah. Oh, really, Ian? Conversion with stacks of conversion on top of more stacks of conversion.
Yes.
We're just gonna convert everybody. We're just so much conversion. I hate conversion, so we're gonna convert me to loving conversion game modes with more game mechanics that incorporate conversions.
Have you ever played a game in the dark with flashlight?
We can't do that because of liability reasons. We already have issues with people running into like bars because we like
That's fine.
It's oh yeah, it's totally fine. And yeah, and I mean they're black bars, so like, what's the problem with people running around crazy with limited to no visibility and possibly gonna get, you know, knocked out with bars? Yeah.
How to give Arvid a concussion?
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you, Lightning Eagle 14, holding up your moderator responsibilities. Look at you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, we got Nathan Thompson. That trust people won't have personal team bias and less skilled players are going to be changing teams a lot. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. I think the benefit that came from our Sentry game mode is that person had no team affiliation. They volunteered from the beginning, saying that they would not be a part of either team, and their only enjoyment factor in that was just like having fun tagging people and not getting out. It was fun. I enjoyed being the Sentry. Jonathan, I think you enjoyed being the Sentry. You seem to really like that game mode. Didn't you suggest it? I feel like
No, I'm pretty sure that was a me.
Yeah, that was your
a me game.
that was your suggested game mode. That was pretty cool.
Well, I think I had a problem that night too. I think that was the thing. Like when I got there, I was either like incapacitated somehow or couldn't run for some reason.
I think I remember that.
And then we just kind of adopted it and played it for a few.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Good, yeah, that was a good game mode. I really enjoyed that. Flying Spur 99, a stationary juggernaut, essentially. Yes, essentially it was juggernaut, but stationary. And obviously, since we have the arena that we have, it was kind of fun having the juggernaut be like so high above everybody, and they had limited mobility. They couldn't move. I don't think we allowed what you're saying, the Juggernaut or the Sentry, whatever we called them. I don't think they were allowed to move. They could rotate in place, but they couldn't actually walk or like dodge darts being fired at them. But we still allowed them to do the blaster block rule. They could still block darts with their blaster and not be converted to that team's side if that happened. So yeah, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. That was a fun game mode.
It's
Yeah, go
gonna
ahead.
be harder in the new arena, unfortunately, because of how it's laid out. There's no really good central place, I think, for the Sentry anymore.
Yes, and I'm bringing it back up on stream so that people can see. Right now, the column is not there. Don't get attached to that. Don't get attached to the tube here. However, all the other large objects that are visualized here, those are effectively permanently there. They're not bolted in. We could move them. We would need like 20 people to move them. It's not going to be easy to move them, but we could if we wanted to. We have the power. We have the ability. Regardless, it would be a lot more challenging with a game mode like that, the stationary Juggernaut, because they can only be on the tunnel, on the rock, or on the city. However, that brings me, this is an interesting game mechanic that I've been attempting to figure out how to properly balance. We've played a couple iterations of it, or maybe one iteration of it, in the previous gym, and we have yet to do it in the new gym. I'm going to explain it. If you all in chat or you all in voice can help me talk through the mechanics of it and figure out how we can make this work, I really want to make this work. The inspiration for this game mode comes from one of the first episodes of Samurai Jack, and I love Samurai Jack so much. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And there was an episode where he has to go against these 3 blind archers that were up in a tower, and just like a wide open field, and the archers were like, they had super good hearing, and it was he had like, Samurai Jack was having a really hard time trying to get to the tower because the archers were just so good and they were gonna shoot him dead. And that was kind of what the basis of inspiration was for this game mode. I wanted to make a game mode that kind of had 3 archers that were stationary essentially. They could have one that was on the rock, one that was on the tunnel, and one that was on the city. And because they're so spread out, it made it something where it's like, you can't have, I mean, I guess you could have just one team, in that sense, one team against the archers, and give them some sort of idea. My idea was like, I wanted to get away from sides. Typically we have a back half team, we have a front half team, and they battle in some element and then have to go back to the respawn zone. I wanted to get away from that, and I wanted to create a game mode that required a team to circumnavigate the arena. And I thought that would be interesting. And if you have an element where there are 3 stationary archers or juggernauts or whatever that like are attacking you, keeping you from circumnavigating, that was the objective. That was the idea. And then they'd have to circumnavigate a certain number of times or get to certain checkpoints there. That was the original idea. The iteration that we played in the last gym, we created in a 3-team game mode. We had the archers, we had one team and another team. And one team was trying to go through, like, it was basically, they weren't circumnavigating through circles or like all the way around the gym. They had to go in an oval basically from front to back. And then the opposite team was trying to get through checkpoints from side to side. And then obviously they could tag out each other, they could tag out the archers, and if they got to a checkpoint, if they got tagged out in their conquest for the next one, they would just go back to whatever checkpoint they got to last and respawn there. That was the idea. It didn't really work. It sort of worked. Jonathan, I think you were there for it. I think Brandon was there for it as well. Who else was there for it?
I will say, I think the part I enjoyed the most about that game mode was actually being the archer, because it was really interesting. I actually did enjoy the game mode. I think it had its problems, but overall it was a good idea. I enjoyed the challenge of like trying to find people, because there was a lot of spots in that old gym where if someone hid behind something, I just couldn't get at them, even if I knew they were there. So it was a matter of like waiting and also like paying attention to my peripheral vision, so that while I'm watching this person, someone else doesn't like sneak past me somehow. It was really, really interesting.
Right. Yeah. And so like, I really want this to work. I really, and if it needs to be simpler, where it's just one team versus the archers, then like, that's cool. I dig that. And it would just be the only thing that I don't have solidified is like, what is the objective, and what are under what circumstances if you get out? Okay, well. Yeah, go ahead.
To me, it sounds a lot like Sharks and Minnows from like elementary school.
Sharks and Minnows. Oh man. Yeah, in a way.
Where it could be. So the archer team starts off. Maybe it even just starts with one person on top of a box or something.
Okay. On top of the box.
And. Everybody else is starts at one end of the gym, and without any blasters, and they're basically trying to traverse the gym in rounds over and over again. And the last person on the ground trying to do the traversing wins. And so when the archers or the sharks or the turrets or whatever, when they tag you, when they shoot you with a dart, then you go and you get your, or maybe you just pull out your blaster and you sit where, I don't know. That would
okay.
It would get hand with a lot of people, but
yeah, this would be a challenge if we had like another day where 26 of us show up.
maybe socks only.
Weird. Man, you're loving this socks only idea.
Yeah.
I have an idea I'd like to discuss here with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my idea is you have the archers on top of the tower, and you put some kind of tower defense element in it. So let's say inside of the tower there's like a small tower they need to shoot, and so the archers have these Gatling style blasters, and the rest has these small blasters just to shoot the tower inside of their tower. So the objective is to destroy all the towers of all the archers, and if you shoot a tower, it will get up again after a set amount of time. So you need to eliminate all the towers when they are all down, you know what I mean?
Interesting. Okay. I kind of dig that. So it's like it is a forced respawn of an archer, but you're not trying to stun an archer. You're not trying to shoot an archer. You are trying to shoot something that they are protecting. It's like their life essence in a way. If it's like a cup of 5 cup, or if it's a 5 cup tower, you shoot over the tower. Yeah, go ahead.
Or you could just say that inside of the tower is a timer, and they need to activate it. And if all the timers are activated at the same time, so without running out, you...
I think you cut out.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So you have these timers inside of the towers, and you activate a timer inside of the tower. And when you activate all the timers in the towers when they are still running, so because when you activate a timer, after a while it will run out.
Right.
And if all the timers are still active, running inside of the towers, that's when the team wins the game.
Interesting. Okay, so in that sense, though, because we have a team that is like set to the highest level of the arena, basically, we would have somebody that is stationed on top of the tunnel. We would have somebody that's stationed on top of the city, somebody that's stationed on top of the rock. And then because there's no real boundary anymore marking off front team versus back team, it's just one team that is on the floor essentially, and they're never going to the highest areas. What would dictate where they can go or how they respawn?
You could create...
Yeah, go ahead, Nerf Builder.
I was going to say, you could just create 4 respawns, 1 in each quadrant, and they just have to respawn at one of the quadrants.
Okay. All right. And then what is an archer allowed to stop the timer with this idea tracked?
No, I would say so.
Okay. So they're trying to... So let's say if we had an archer on top of the tunnel, we had a timer that was down on the floor somewhere in here. If we've got somebody on top of the rock, and then a timer that's in the cave, and then maybe somebody on top of the city, and then a timer that's down on downtown. If you are able to sneak around and activate the timer. The timer is what the timer is. When it goes off, then it's basically that objective is captured. You would need to capture all 3 objectives in order to win the game in a certain amount of time. If it takes too long to get all 3 objectives, then the archers win. But you would have to still be able to tag out and stun an archer in that sense. You'd need to be able to deactivate them for a certain amount of time, I think, in order for that to work.
My idea initially was that the timer has like, I don't know, let's say 1 minute counting down, and that's when it's vulnerable. Well, let's say the 1 minute is just the time that you have to get all the other timers working.
Oh, you mean like once you activate one timer, you need to activate all of the other timers before...
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, interesting. And what happens if that doesn't... What happens if they fail that objective? Do they lose?
Well, if one of the timers is still running, they have to activate all the others.
Oh, I see what you mean. Interesting.
You could make a light pop up when the timer is still running.
I dig it. I think that's interesting.
You could even light up the whole tower.
I dig it. I like that idea. I'm gonna go through chat real quick. It's been a little while. Semicolon, I will see you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. Way long ago, let's see, Nathan Thompson is saying, having a dedicated robot player type that a person can turn into a turret by a shoulder touch. Okay, yeah, otherwise they shoot at everyone until down for 20 seconds, but you can't give them their own incentive. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's going back to the game modes that we were talking about earlier. I agree with that, definitely. Lightning 14 is saying, could you do an opposite version where the archers are mobile and have melee? Whoa. Weird. And the players have to sneak around past them and collect MacGuffins? What is a MacGuffin?
MacGuffin's just a term that people use for any kind of item.
I've never heard that term before. Is this common?
Captain Xavier uses it all the time.
Okay, I gotcha. All right. I apparently don't watch Captain Xavier enough.
I think Ben's used it a couple times when we play like Rogue One and stuff.
Really? How have I missed this? I feel left out.
I think somebody. Sorry.
Any item like you're trying to find out, like an HVZ, is usually called a MacGuffin.
Oh, interesting.
It's important because the plot says so.
Semicolon, thanks for stopping by. I know you're probably gone by now, but I appreciate it. Good to have you. Thanks for throwing out some ideas as well. I appreciate it. And then he's also saying before he left, this sounds like an old TF2 custom map crab mod. I have never once played a game of TF2. Does that make me a bad person? Should I play TF2?
Yes, you should play.
Always.
We could do weekend TF2 instead of nerfing.
Yeah.
Fall quarantine or something.
I'm down. I've only played one round of Overwatch years ago. Isn't there a new type of like TF2 out? What is it called? Valiant or something like that?
Valorant. It's made by
Valorant.
Riot Games, the people who made League of Legends.
Gotcha. That looks cool too.
I wish I could play all these games.
Why can't you?
My laptop won't support it. I have a work laptop
Ah.
more than a gaming laptop, so...
You gotta build a PC.
Look, I am paying off loans at the moment.
I feel that.
Even though, like I told you before, I finally got my private loans done, I still gotta worry about the federal loans. The only reason why I'm not that worried about them at the moment is because the whole
Yeah,
this
man.
is going on YouTube, so I can't say the whole situation right now. And the fact that federal loans right now are in forbearance and have 0% interest until September 30th.
Yeah. Student loans, man. That's a racket.
So
Hold
I
on.
just found the rules for Crab Mod.
Go for it.
So the goal is for so there's two teams, red and blue, and it's based off of the actually I'm not all right. Basically, blue team has a herd. From what I'm reading, the blue team has a herd of crabs who are unarmed, and basically blue team has to herd the crabs to one side of the map before the red team kills all the crabs. I think that's my understanding of what it is.
Interesting.
It's more complicated than that. I'm trying to figure it out.
Sure.
All spec crabs are killed.
So, although going back to your archer game, if you wanted to do a free-for-all one, where, I mean, the 3 archers would essentially be on a team, but you could split the gym up into 4 quadrants, take 4 different colored respawn orbs, and just kind of spread them out in each of those quadrants, and then players are trying to collect sets of respawn orbs, so they have to get 4 of the color to count it as a point. So that's going to make them circumnavigate the gym, and then you have a location where you want them to, where they have to dump them.
I dig that. I like that. Yeah, I feel like we played free for all every so often in the old gym. I don't think we've ever gone back to it in the new gym.
You've been getting a lot of people to play free for all. I mean, free for all is more of a, I feel like, 8 or less player game.
You think so?
I feel like if you're getting more than 8 people, then I feel like it's hard to do a free for all.
Unless you limit ammo. I think you would have to limit ammo in order to do something with that many people. But
Or socks only.
Or 2 socks only. Yeah, absolutely.
That too. The only times we've ever played free for all is when we've only had, like, I'd say a max of 6 people. I think we've played with, and the fact of the matter is we've just never had that few people in the new gym.
Actually, I think you're right that in the old space it was pretty rare that we would ever get like 15 people, and more often than not it would be like, I don't know, 3v3 or 4v4, like that kind of thing. So that's a lot easier to manage.
I mean, you could do a squad based where it's like a 2-player team or it's a 3-player team instead of having a complete free for all.
Sure.
That still would get really, really complicated really, really fast, I would think.
I think yeah, go ahead.
What would be the objective for the free for all games? I'm just not familiar.
We've played several versions, right? There's one version where you just had to get to 5 kills, no matter how, or like if you got hit or something, your count never resets. It's just the first to 5 kills. There was also the Hunger Games variant, where it was first to 5 kills without dying in between. So every time you died, your kill count dropped to 0. You had to respawn, and then you had to get to 5 again. Those were the 2 versions of free for all we've done.
Yeah, I think those were the only 2. But in this one, so this one's basically like, in order to, and then the respawn, in the instance of a respawn, we would just force people to move to the outskirts of the arena. You had to like put your hand on the wall, count to 5 or 10 or something like that, and then you would be back in the game. That's essentially how we operated that. So we could do this the... Oh, maybe not. I was thinking we could do this the opposite way, where instead of having teams go to the outskirts, we would make teams go to the... Is inskirts a word? The center of the arena, and spread out from there. But I don't think we have a big enough space for that many people. I feel like there would be a lot of people in the middle, and that's not something that could operate.
It would have to be a game mode on a limited, a game mode that we only play on days where we have limited numbers of people.
Okay, so real quick, just because I had a thought, going back to my original idea of having two teams that circumnavigate. If we had one team start in the back, we had one team start in the front, and they could tag each other out. They could stun the archers, and the archers could also tag out any of the humans that were running around. My idea was like, I want for them, like, the first team that is able to circumnavigate twice essentially would be the winner. But what is to stop, like, obviously if you have a team versus a team versus a team, you wouldn't, like, what is to keep one team from being right next to each other, essentially, or from two teams? If, like, the front is able to, I don't know, get past on the right side of the arena super fast, and now both teams are right here, like, what happens in that case? And that's kind of why I had one side be like, oh, you move from front to back, side to side. That worked well in the last gym because it was effectively the same distance. It is no longer the same distance. This is roughly 80 feet of distance. This is 50 feet of distance. And so that would be the only issue that I have with that. But I really want to figure out how we can have two teams work against each other with a common enemy of the archers. I don't know how to do that.
Hey Aldous, I have another thing I would like to discuss. There was something that Murfield was saying, and I would like to comment on it.
Yeah, go for it.
So initially, I had an idea about this base raider game, but Murfield said it's not so good idea for the arena. And the idea is this: so you have a what's it called? Folding mats that you use as a barricade.
Yeah.
So your team can set up a barricade by folding it up so it stands up, and you can destroy it by touching it. So basically, you're just trying to cover ground on your arena with these barricades. But I think for the arena, it should be quite big. Your arena is quite not so big, so maybe that's something that's not so good idea. But I was just thinking maybe there's a way to make it work so that you can basically start barricading parts of the arena to cover ground and win the game when timer stops, when the game ends.
That's an interesting idea. You've got, like, essentially buildable cover that allows you to navigate safely around or just through parts of the arena. I think I agree that even though our space is much bigger, it still is limiting in its size. That it's not, like, I feel like some game modes, even with, like, if we had twice as much space, would still feel restrictive with the amount of mobility that you have. Ultimately, like, there's definitely a clash between how game modes function in our arena and how they could operate. Who mentioned? Somebody was like, "Oh, Ian, why are you writing in chat instead of saying stuff?" But yeah, we would need, like, a warehouse-sized building. We would need the entire warehouse to do some of these ideas of the game mode effectively. And that's just not feasible because we don't have $1 million to spend on a warehouse. So, yeah, that's the problem.
Donates 50,000 times.
It's just, you gotta just keep going. Give us the money. We need to buy a warehouse. That's what we're gonna do with the channel. We're gonna name it the Aldos Arena Warehouse. Yeah, we're gonna.
Real life Fortnite.
Sorry, say that again.
You can call it real life Fortnite because it's
Real life Fortnite. Hell yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. But yeah, it's definitely still a challenge that, like, I mean, we had, well, one day I feel like we had 26 players, and that made the gym feel like it
was
did.
so crammed.
Yeah, it made it feel like it did in the last space, and it was kind of sad in a way. It was like, man, I'm so happy that we were able to acquire more space and get that, and then at the same time it was like, we need more space. And then obviously, like, a shutdown like this happens, and it's really nice not being burdened by a rent bill that would be like twice what it is right now. So yeah, we're smart with that, I guess. So yeah.
For now.
Lightning 14 or free for all zombie death. We did something very similar to that in the last space. Yeah, that definitely did exist at one point in time. Flying Spur 99. I've been in a 3-man fire team elimination game. Thankfully, we had most of the lower floor of a disused elementary school. Yeah, so like game modes like that would be so much better when you have that much open space. And so obviously, again, the part of the issue that we will always come back to when designing game modes specifically for the arena is that you have to take into account that we have limited space, and like you got to keep in mind too, like the engagement distance for us is probably somewhere around 20 feet. Would you agree with that, people in voice chat?
Yeah.
I would say 10 to 20 feet, unless it's like a special case like Dave.
Man, I feel okay. Say that again, Liam.
If you had to average it, it would probably be more like, yeah, it'd probably be around 20.
I think the last space probably had an engagement distance of 10 feet or less, which is insane. And this space definitely increases that, but it's still pretty close. I think I agree. It's somewhere between 10 and 20 feet engagement distance. So if really a team is only able to move, if we do a game mode that's like a front and back game mode, and there's 80 feet of mobility, there's really only 60 feet of mobility if you consider it like a one-way, when you consider the engagement distance is 10 to 20 feet. But if you consider both teams' engagement distances, that like this team, the front team, has an engagement distance of 10 to 20 feet, and this team has an engagement distance of 10 to 20 feet, there's still not that much space. It means that there's really only like 30 feet of mobility that you have really in most game modes. Yeah. And that limits a lot of the ideas that we have. And this is why things are a challenge. But yeah.
Yeah, like we have like really narrow corridors that you have to like slip through to get to the other side of the map.
Yeah. But and I think that's why it's so imperative that we have the equipment that we have, because without the equipment it would kind of be dull. It would be dull.
I mean, yeah, the 3D when I like talk to people and describe how the place is, they're like, "What's a 3D space?"
The world is 3D. What are you talking about? Like, no. This is it's tiered. It's a tiered system. You've got the the head height cover that you can hide behind, but you also have the objects that you can hide inside and get on top of, and that's stuff that you don't get that anywhere else. That's the joy of, and that's kind of what we try to emphasize with our game modes, is creating somewhere that people need to get to and get on top of. So yeah. Yeah. And I still feel frustrated that my Archer game mode is has the complications that it has. I want it to be simpler, and I don't know entirely how to make it simpler, but I'm going to keep thinking about it. I love the Ultimator game mode that we came up with so far. I would love to add this element into conversion to spruce up conversion a little bit, because I hate conversion. Hate it. And I want it to be better, and I think that this is what I need to make it better. So, yeah. We are coming up. It's we're coming up on an hour and 50 minutes, so we've got 10 more minutes of spillover. Does anybody have some lingering thoughts that they want to add in?
Yeah, maybe you could make the arena a lot more interesting by adding some interactive elements, like, for example, stationary turrets, difficult terrain that can be activated, cover that can be activated, or ammo drops that can be...
So now, are the turrets people, or are you thinking actual Nerf turrets?
Like the archers, so you can climb a tower and you become the archer.
Oh, okay. Intriguing.
So like an area that is people have to go out of their way, like HVC tanks. You have to hit them with a sock. They don't get hit by any darts or something.
Right. Okay, so that gives me this idea. I had if we were to make some a tower defense game mode where both teams have a stack of towers, maybe there's 2 towers, but they're if they were on top of an object. So for instance, let me grab my keyboard. If we were to make it so that there were height elements on both sides, obviously the tunnel is centrally located, and that kind of sucks. But if we had something like, I gotta orbit a little bit. If we had something where I don't know, if we had the tube over there or something. We had a tower that was on this side. We had a tower that was on this side, a tower that was on the city, and a tower that was on the rock. If you want to shoot over the enemy's tower, you need to be on the tunnel, or you need to be on the tube in order to shoot over a tower that's over that way. And then obviously you're wide out in the open. It's only a matter of time before you get hit, unless your teammates are able to, effectively push back the other side. That would be interesting. It makes it so that you need accuracy, long range, and it gives some sort of value to the climbable feature. That's interesting. I kind of like that suggestion. That gives me ideas.
Yeah.
That was one of the cool things about Rogue One, is that you usually have an objective that's on a higher point of the field, so you have to go up and get it.
Yeah. And yeah, I think the most fun game modes that we come up with are the ones that incorporate some amount of the feature that we have, which is height, that you don't get anywhere else, or even just the features of bunkering inside of stuff, because also you don't really get that elsewhere. So yeah, I dig that. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I think implementing your terrain is the coolest thing you can.
Cool. Last thing, while I have some NPCs in voice chat, because we're in the process of redesigning the new layout for the gym. It's a little stale. We also had to deconstruct everything, because right now over this way there are these 2 giant windows that are there. Above them we're getting this sheet plating put in. It looks really pretty. It looks really nice. I'm really happy that it's happening. It was supposed to happen before we moved in, and then obviously all of the crazy ridiculousness happened. And I guess we should have known what I'm about to say was going to happen when our building manager was like, "Oh, we've got the metal in, we want to install it." And we asked, "How long do you think it's going to take?" And he said a week, and we believed him. No.
Yep.
It always takes longer.
Well, okay, so that was, man, how long ago was there? This was 2.5 weeks ago that they started construction, and we had to move all of our rubber on this side because they can only act the way that they can get the lifts in is through this back door here. So they need to be able to drive all the way down this end of the arena in order to get the lifts to the front to be able to access, because this is like 35 feet high in order for them to do that. And so we had to pull back all the rubber, we had to disassemble everything, we had to disassemble the tower and move everything. So we just took off all of the bars, and we are starting fresh, and that's kind of why you see some bars here, because we're playing around with new ideas and trying to figure out what to do and where to put things. If you had any ideas or thoughts and you said, "Man, Nerf would be so cool if the tube were here," or "Nerf would be great," or "This game mode would be so much better if the column were here," where do you think those features would be best placed?
Something I would say definitely would be to not do would be that like on the side with the blue mat, you know how there was like that big like cluster of tubes in like the center?
Yes.
That was so annoying.
That was so the first day that you guys moved all those tubes over there, I kept wanting to run through there.
Yeah. The head high bars, man.
Even the waist high ones were like, oof.
Yeah. Okay, so more. If we're going to do more stuff like this, don't have it cover like access points, basically.
Like the entire corridor was just cut off, unless you were like willing to like squat down like 2 feet high.
Yeah, but like something like this would work.
If it was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, that location looks pretty good because it's not really one that people run through. It's not the area that you run through to get somewhere else. It's the destination area.
Gotcha.
If it's an area where you kind of just like move slowly and carefully because you're like on the front line, I think that's a good place to put the bars.
Gotcha.
I think I may regret saying that, but that's my impulse is to say that.
You would be more locked into having to utilize that position then, because it'd be harder for you to like get out.
Yeah.
I just want to bring in chat real quick. Tom is saying, I don't think a control point style game mode would be too complex. I agree. I think the hardest parts would be remembering to capture in order and how a capture would work. So, Tom, is this in relation to something that we said earlier, or is it something with... Oh, I gotcha. Okay. I think it looks like you added stuff earlier. Both teams capture objectives in sequential order across the gym, set up cups with a flag or something to capture, then move on to the next one. Okay, interesting. But the teams don't shift, and both teams are trying to take control of some points, like a sequential control point style. Okay, so this must be going back to my Archer game mode, and then they're trying to control certain points. We played... That reminds me of like Dota, sort of. No, not Dota. It was something similar though. Where you had to like, in order to capture a zone, you had to place down your team color bandana and build a cup tower, and then like defend it. And the opposite team could shoot over the cup tower, and once it was shot over, they would remove the flag or the bandana, place down their color and then build the cup tower back up. And whichever team at the end controlled the most amount of towers and like they won. That was interesting. I feel like you were there for that actually, Tom. When we played that. This was before. It was not. I don't remember what he called it. It wasn't Dota though. Dota, you only shoot down towers. This is something a little different. But yeah, I agree. You need to capture all three. That's interesting. All at once. I dig it. Yeah.
How would you guys feel about having motion activated blasters or laser tripwire activated blasters inside of the terrain just to like spice it up?
How would that be done cheaply though? I think that's the issue. Because isn't what is Orange Modworks trying to do? Orange Modworks is trying to create like RFID tag systems, and like it's cool, and I applaud them for the effort. It just seems so challenging to bring in technology without it being exorbitantly expensive, or just like I don't know, like what happens when you rely on the system and then it breaks. That's my only qualm with stuff like that.
I'll check it out for you what the price would be for something like that. I know motion sensors are like a few dollars.
I personally don't. I would not rely on something something motion activated hooked up to a Nerf blaster. I just wouldn't rely on it for being a good way of locking down an area or something.
I will say that if a system could prove to be nearly flawless and easy to adopt, then hell yeah, that would open up so many more avenues of fun game mechanics. I'm thinking like a domination game mode or something where you need you're trying to capture a point, and the more players that you have in some vicinity would capture it for your team faster. Like that would be cool, and you can really only do that right now with software or whatever. So like that would be an interesting feature that could be handled either with RFID tags or motion sensors or anything else like that.
You could,
yeah, go ahead.
You could probably do it with by making a software program for like cell phones, because like everybody has a cell phone, and like if you could somehow incorporate that kind of technology into a Nerf game, that would be interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, you should be able to do it. I don't.
My idea came from when I watched Robot Wars as a kid. There's an arena too where these robots fight, and they have these elements like this just to like make it all random and chaotic.
Yeah, I dig it. I like it.
And about reliability, I think it's kind of as reliable as one of these lights that you have outside that are motion sensor triggered. So I think it could be quite reliable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if you can like put something together and figure out how this could be done, send it on over. You could just like PM me or put it in Discord. That would be awesome. I would totally be down for trying to figure out how to implement that and make it something that we could do with a cool game mode in space. By all means, go for it. I do want to wrap up. So if there's aside from just the last final thoughts that I want from you all that are here in voice chat, if we were to do something through high traffic zones, something like this would work, where obviously like you can get to and from, like this obviously would close off an area, but making it so that there's less hip high bars and head high bars through major zones and areas, that would be what you're looking at.
Yeah, I think the way what I'm seeing there is that like you can get from the back, from the back of the rock to the back of the cave like decently easy. You just have to go around it, and you can see that route.
Yeah.
I think the big problem with the old bar setup, or the most recent bar setup, is that there was no clear route through it.
Yeah. It was pretty tight. It was a tight
like
space.
a maze.
It was a maze. But I mean, like, so the tube has always been in the back of the gym. Would it be interesting to have it in the front of the gym, or no?
Let's see. I think if you put it on the left side, yeah, like there, and then rotate it or something, that would be an interesting spot to put it. But the back still needs some kind of cover to use to replace it.
Yeah, the back would still need something. Maybe like one of the I think it's the TV boxes that you refer to them as, or
Well, this
I
is
can't remember.
the tube is the TV box. I call it the tube because I hate saying a name and then box. So,
Okay, whatever the trapezoidal boxes are, like throw one of those in the back, and then I think that would be an equal like trade, because this
Cool.
would kind of be like a more neutral-ish kind of area.
That would also help to reduce the impact of people on top of the rock, because the most recent setups that I've seen, and I like hanging out on top of the rock, it's like you can just shoot over them if you're on the rock, and it gets really annoying to be on the receiving end of it.
Oh my god, it's so hard to attack the back end of the gym when you're doing an assault kind of game mode.
that's true. That's
Like
true.
that the front of the gym's always had the defense problem. The back has always been the hardest thing to attack.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna put my thinking cap on, figure out how we can. The hard part here is like whenever we design new stuff, I always want it to like obviously it's got to work for what makes like keeps the lights on in the gym. It's gotta be good for parkour. But like there was somebody I remember. I think I had this discussion with somebody else. Maybe it was Connor or somebody else that we were talking about like Nerf businesses and trying to get parkour gyms to do it. And there was some dude that I remember talking with. He was like, "Yeah, we do Nerf wars, but like I'm definitely not gonna set up the gym specifically for Nerf." And it's like, well, great, you're never going to get anywhere with your Nerf events because that's not fun. And it like we try, and you're saying it's already like it's kind of disappointing and frustrating that the front always sort of has that problem that they have a harder time attacking in those specific game modes. And like I don't want that to be the case. So yeah, I will put my thinking cap on and try to figure out ways of doing that. But yeah, knowing that the maze of a bar cage was a challenge, I will take that to heart. Cool. All right, we are coming up on 2 hours. So everybody that was here in chat, if you were able to add in thoughts, thank you so much for contributing and helping out. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This was fun. It was just a nice little chill stream where we got to throw out some fun random ideas and talk about some interesting things. Ian, what is this that you shared on Discord, by the way? Is this something that were related to a specific thought process in stream?
Okay, what it was we were talking about we mentioned something about like blind tower defense.
Gotcha.
At some point.
Yeah.
And this was in relation to that because I was like, oh, Corridor Digital's done something like this where they played a game where they had a team that was just they were the like a team of basically they were just frozen in place, and they were defending these objectives, and they had blindfolds, and all they could do is rely on what they heard, and the attacking team had like bells and stuff, and the objectives themselves were noise related objectives, so you knew when they were being disturbed.
Okay, I kind of like that. That's fun. If you want to see that, join the Discord. Link is down in the description. Go watch that video. I'm going to watch it right after this, after I sign off. That would be fantastic. If you added something and I missed it, I apologize. I'm sorry. It's really a challenge to like listen, comprehend, interpret, and understand what's going on through voice chat, as well as read and follow through chat and everything else. So I apologize if you made a suggestion and I missed it. I will go through this and try to at least like generate ideas from everything that you inputted through and went through. I feel pretty good. I feel like we got a good, at least solid couple ideas for new things that we can do once we are finally allowed to open. Well, I don't have your name right now, but whoever you are that sent me this ultimator, I'm jazzed about it. I'm really excited to try to implement this into some of our game modes and make new ones over it. That's going to be super fun. So I will get up on that. I'm going to figure out who you are on Reddit, and I will add your name to the description. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that it took me so long to actually open your gift. Wedding planning is hard. It's hard, it's chaotic, and I'm sorry. No excuses. I forgot. So, with that said, thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this. I believe we should be back to normal next week doing stuff. I don't have an idea yet for what I'm going to do next week, but we shall see. With that said, thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.